Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? Well, it is 3:18 a.m. and I had planned to vlog earlier in the evening, but that didn't happen. I fell asleep after I got home from my meeting tonight. And then Alex was going to bed too, and so I didn't set an alarm. And then he woke me up and was like, babe, you gotta vlog, you gotta vlog. So that has been my later evening, and I will tell you about my day in just a second, but I have to tell you how weird it has been since I woke up. I feel like I'm kind of almost still in a dream state, and I came this way, and I'll tell you why, but I'm getting ready to turn back around. So I got up, and of course, as soon as I got up, the dogs were going crazy, and then, you know, they wanted to be let out, so I took them out, and I was standing outside with the dogs, and it's chilly tonight. It's 51 degrees in Indianapolis. And so I had taken the dogs out, and it was really, really still outside in our neighborhood, which, I mean, it always is. There's, like, you know, nothing going on. It's dead quiet. But all of a sudden, there was, like, this whoo, whoo, whoo. But it almost sounded like, you know, that you would hear, like, in a horror movie or something like that, a scary movie. But it was almost, like, too perfect. Like, I don't know if that makes sense, but it was almost kind of, I was, like, standing there, and, like, the dog started, like, howling at it. Like, Pee-Pee barked, and then, like, Boo Radley howled at it. And I was like, okay, we're going inside right now. I was, like, kind of freaked. And then I was, like, freaked, like, driving away from our neighborhood, and, so then, let me tell you what happened. This was really weird. So today, earlier, I was going to do my review of the Starbucks drink. And I was, like, Starbucks in Indianapolis, well, the Starbucks that I go to is right by, like, this Walmart. And there's, like, this bus stop in front of it, like, you know, like a bench. And there was this guy sitting on it. And he was, like, a younger guy, too. And he had, like, this long red coat on and this, like, hat on and stuff like that. And he was, like, sitting there, and you could tell, like, at first I thought he was, like, singing the lyrics, but he didn't have any headphones on. And then you could tell he was, like, cussing people out. It was really strange. And so I was like, okay, like, I hope this guy's okay. I hope, you know, like, there's nothing wrong with him or whatever, right? And then I just went on, and I didn't think much about it. So tonight, I'm pulling out, I'm going down here to go vlog, and there's this car with its, like, hazard lights on literally in the middle of the road, okay, down here. And I'm like, what is going on? And so I start to slow down, and as I start to slow down, and I'm literally just sitting here, and I'm like no music on in my car, just kind of like sitting here getting ready to vlog, and this guy starts walking towards me, like, from behind the car. Like, I couldn't see him, and then all of a sudden he was, like, behind the car, and then he was, like, walking towards me. And as I kept on driving, this is, like, 3 lanes here, I'm in the 3rd lane, he's over in the 1st lane. As I'm getting closer, he's walking closer and closer, like, faster towards me, right? And I mean, I gunned it like nobody's business. And he's, like, fists in the air and stuff, and I was like, what is going on? Like, and I couldn't see what was going on. There was another car behind me that, like, swerved way over out of his way. So I waited like 10 minutes, because I was, to be honest with you, I was really scared to come back. And the police, like, pulled him over. There's, like, 4 police cars right here that, like, pulled him over. It was, like, right here. So I don't know what that was about. But I think it's the same guy. Because, like, the guy that, like, was walking over, that I saw, he had, like, a long coat on. And, like, a hat. I swear, it was the weirdest thing. When I saw him, I was like, is that the guy from this afternoon? Anyway. So that was my spooky, strange evening. I'm like, is there, like... And then I'm like, is it a full moon tonight? Is something going on? I had a friend of mine. Oh, man, this was, like, my first year sober. God, so long ago. It's so crazy now because, like, her brother is completely fine and has a family of his own and everything like that, but he had a psychotic break. And, it was, like, because, like, 2 medicines that he was on interacted, and he had a psychotic break, and he, like, she got a call from like some family friends. He had been at like the country club, like where they were at. He was like in college though at the time, but he had like come up from, they didn't even know that he was like here in town, and like her parents were out of town and stuff, and like somebody from the country club called and said that he had been like on top of like cars, like jumping up and down and stuff like that. And so then we were like going and like chasing him down, trying to find him. I felt so bad for him, and thank God they finally found him. And but that's what it reminded me of tonight, of like that night that her brother like had to find her brother, and she was so scared, and he had had a psychotic break. I remember that happening. It's so weird. So anyway, that was my spooky, strange evening. I'm really dying for some water right now. Today was a good day. I got up and what did I do? I went and got coffee, and I did my review video that I wanted to do, which was the Friends Frappuccino, Friends inspired Frappuccino from the TV show, which is so funny because I just started watching that show. Which I now equate that show to being very homey. It's weird. It's like my new homey go-to show. And so I did that review, and then what else did I do? I had to pick up Pee-Pee's medicine, and then what else did I do after that? Did something else. Can't remember. But then I came home and oh yeah, I wanted to write some this afternoon. So I filmed my drama video that I made, and then I wrote from like 2 to like 5, and then I took a shower, and Alex came home in that time, and I took a shower and was getting ready to go to my meeting, and then I went and picked up Tanya, and we had to leave a little early tonight because we had to pick up our other friend. So we went and we picked up our other friend, and then we went to the meeting tonight. The meeting was great. There weren't a lot of people there though. The meeting that I go to is interesting because we don't get like tons of new people at this meeting, and I mean it's been a meeting that's been going on long before I ever got sober. I think like 10 or 15 years before I got sober it started, and well, maybe not that long, maybe 10 years before I got sober I think it started. I don't know, but anyway, I actually am thinking, because I know who started the meeting, and I think he moved here. He had, okay, so he has like 45 years, and he moved here, I think, like when he had like 10 years, so that would have been like 35 years ago, which means that would have been about 10 years before I got sober. So the meeting's been going on for about 10 years before I got sober. But anyway, it's an interesting meeting because I'm like trying to decide like where I want to go tonight to vlog. I think it'd be easier for me just to take the interstate instead of side roads. My gut is telling me that. Like in the summer, it's real busy. There's a lot of people there in the summer. But in the fall and winter, there's just not a lot of people there because it's a lot of older people. And there's a lot of like long-time sobriety in the meetings. So many of the people that go to that meeting, they go to Florida and Arizona in the summer or in the winter. And they start leaving around October. So there's not as many people there in the fall and winter as there is there in the spring and the summer. So tonight there was about, I would say, I mean, there was quite a few people there, but it wasn't tons. I would say there was maybe 30 people there. But like on a good day in the summer, there was 50 or 60. So, and like in the really, like the thick of winter, there will probably be like 20. Sometimes 15. I mean, I've gone there on nights before when it's snowing really bad. Like, it's like Tanya and I and like maybe 10 other people. So, but it was a good meeting, and we talked about acceptance. Yeah. And then after the meeting, we drove around for a second. We took our friend home, and we got laughing real hard about telling some stories. And then, Connie wanted a fountain pop, so I took her to get a fountain pop. And then I went home, and that was about it. Yeah, it was just not a super exciting day. My plan was to listen to some of like my friend Anna today. I listened to a little bit of it, but just not a lot. It was funny because Mel texted me and she was like, "Have you finished the book yet?" And I said, "I'm so dragging." No, I said, "No." I said, "I'm dragging it about halfway through." And she said, she goes, "Really? I loved it." It's so funny because, you know, we don't always agree on books, and like I loved, what was it that I loved that she did not love, that she just recently read? What was it? Like, I literally heard, she just read this book. What was it? And she was like, "Yeah, I didn't like it at all." And I was like, Mel. But, I think that's the greatest thing about having, you know, a friend that reads as well, that you can talk to about books, because, or whatever your interest is, you don't necessarily have to agree, you know, but you can like have these great conversations about it, you know, and be like, "Well, why did you see that?" Or, "Oh yeah, okay, I can totally see that point of view," or whatever. Now I'm wondering what book it was that she read just recently that, I can't remember what it was. It was something that I read last. Oh, The Woman in the Window by A.J. Finn. She did not love that book. And it was like, thank you. It was one of my favorite books of last year, or 2 years ago. My favorite book of last year was, of course, I'll Be Gone in the Dark. One Woman's Obsessive Search for the Golden State Killer. I don't know what my favorite book would be so far of this year. I'm not really sure. I mean, I've read some really good books this year. But then I've read some books that I feel like are just kind of like semi-par. Like, I feel like if I went back and I re-rated them, like, I don't know that I would rate them as high as I did originally. Like, I really liked What If It's Us by Adam Silvera and Becky Albertalli. But I think I gave it like a 4.7, 4.8. I don't know that I would go back and do that. I mean, it was good, but I don't know that it had a huge impact on me. And then, like, the Israel Keyes book had a huge impact on me. I don't know why. I think I just love true crime so much now. What else did I read, though, that really impacted me in a positive way? Well, I mean, that book didn't impact me in a positive way, but like, I enjoyed reading it. What were some of the other books that I've read this year? I can't even think. I hope my allergies don't get any worse than they are right now, because I'm dealing with like runny noses and sneezing already. God, before I know it, it's gonna be they're gonna have the Christmas lights up right there, that thing that I drive through every year, you know, and show. feels really weird to think that we are just around the corner from Christmas, doesn't it? I mean, at the end of this month, people will start putting up Christmas trees, and I was in Costco today, and that's one of the things I had to do. I had to go to Costco. And I need to always remember, I always think this, because I must go there on the days that I have my meetings or something, but Tuesday afternoons at Costco are absolutely dead. There's like nobody there, right? And so anyway, I was just kind of like walking around, and they have all their Christmas stuff up already. They have all the trees and all of that up. I was like, this is crazy that they have all this stuff up already. I don't really have a whole lot to talk about tonight. Let's see, my mind will start going on to something in a second. I was actually thinking about how it was kind of funny talking about all the people that I've dated, all my exes the other night. I was so pissed because when I uploaded that vlog, I should have just known. Like, I had this weird feeling about it when I uploaded it. And then, like, I looked, and it was like 36 minutes or something when it was supposed to be like an hour and 22, and it said there wasn't enough space. And I'm just sitting there looking at it and not even putting two and two together. And if I, even thought it through that night, I would have been like, oh, okay, this is why it won't upload correctly. I think, like, one of the suggestions in early recovery is that you don't date for your first year of sobriety. And I think that's definitely, like, probably one of the greatest suggestions I was ever given. I unfortunately didn't take it, but I do give that suggestion to others. And the reason why is because, A, it's good to take a year for yourself and focus on yourself, and B, we don't really have anything to give to somebody else in our first year of sobriety, right? Like, we're such a mess. So, if you have a friend and they're like, oh my God, I just met this guy and he's a month sober, I'm so, like, you might be like to your friend, what does he really have to offer you at a month sober? You know what I mean? Like, I think that's fantastic that they're getting sober, but that's probably not, and that person's going to change a lot over the course of a year. Your first year of sobriety, I think you change tons, but I didn't take that suggestion, and I got out of treatment and I started dating somebody, like, literally right away. This guy that, I've talked about him a lot on here, that he was asking my friend, like, the whole time I was in treatment. She was like my one, well, I mean, I had some good friends that checked in on me, but my good friend that I had since, like, elementary school, she came and visited me and stuff, and I had another friend that came to visit me and stuff, my friend that got sober while I was in treatment. And then these two guys that I was friends with came to visit me. They came on Christmas Day, I think. Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. Because I told my family I didn't want anybody to come. And they were not offering either. My family did not want to come and visit me on Christmas. They were so pissed, all of them. But anyway, I always think that Embassy Suites looks so nice. And it's, like, out here in the middle of nowhere. It must be like a convention where they have, like, convention hall where they have, like, conventions or something like that. Because there's, like, all these hotels out here. It's weird. Well, there's a hospital right there, but it's, like, a small hospital. So I started dating this guy, and let me tell you about this guy. Okay. Super cute. Super, super cute. Looked like Ben Affleck. Still kind of does. And he's still super cute. And very smart. Like, amazing career. Like, extremely professional career. And I was 22 and a half, and he was 26. so, like, I got out of treatment, and, like, I talked to him, like, that day or that next day, and then he made plans to come up that weekend, and he came up, like, that Sunday. We used to have this night in Indianapolis called Boing, and it was at this bar called The Vogue, and it was like a gay guy night, because it was a straight bar, and like on Sunday nights they'd have like this gay guy night, and that was actually where I had gone the last night before I had gone into treatment. So anyway, he had a lot of friends that lived here that he knew through like college and stuff. I don't know how, but anyway. So he had plans to go meet up with them, but he was like, I'd like to take you out to dinner and, like, you know, hang out with you before, if that's okay. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. And I was like, you know, if you want to stay here, you're more than welcome to stay here. And he was like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, sure. And he was like, well, you're not going to go out, are you? And I was like, oh, no. Like, I have no business being in a bar. I didn't go out for, like, my first, I don't even know. Like, Tanya and I were talking about that. I was talking about that with my sponsor. She and my sponsor and I were talking about that. I don't even remember, like, when I started going out, but it was after a year, I think. I don't know. Anyway, and if I ever did go somewhere, it was only with people in sobriety. So I was like, we'll go out to dinner, and then you go out, and then you can just, I'll just wait up for you, and you can come back, you know? And he was like, okay. And so I didn't really remember him. This was the thing. Like, this is before social media, okay? So this is before you can, I mean, I think we take this stuff for granted now, but, like, this was before, you know, you could just get on the Facebook or the Instagram and look somebody up and be like, oh, this is what they look like, and this is their life, and you know everything about them before you even meet them, right? Like, this is way before all that. So, where am I at on time? Oh. So he, I have this vague recollection, because I had met him through my friend that last night, which, let's just be for real, okay? That last night before I went into treatment was probably not my best show. You know what I mean? Like, that probably wasn't the best example of who Peter Mon is as a person. So, I did not remember him, but he remembered me. And he would call my friend when I was in treatment and check on me and be like, is Peter okay? How's he doing? And she would say, he's doing really good. He's in treatment, you know. And he was really, like, at that time, this ex of mine that I was kind of, like, obsessed with could not be bothered. He didn't ever check on me. He didn't care. He was dating somebody else. And so I think for me, it was, like, really, like, that meant something, you know? Like, this person that doesn't even know me, this stranger, is, like, asking how I am and all this kind of stuff. The stars are so bright outside tonight. And, like, that really meant something to me, you know? I mean, it was nice, you know, and I wanted somebody to care about me. I wanted somebody to like me. I wanted to be important to somebody. Like, that's all, like, I think, you know, when you strip away the drugs and the alcohol from most addicts, I think most addicts and alcoholics are so down on themselves and, you know, just don't feel good about themselves, and just, we beat ourselves up worse than anybody can possibly beat us up, that, like, we just want validation and acceptance from anybody that will give it to us, I think, you know, and let alone it be this gorgeous hot guy that had his shit together and, you know, was really nice and, you know, had a professional job and all this kind of stuff. Like, yeah, sure, like, that was extremely, like, cool to me, you know? So, okay, it stopped. So anyway, he came up that Sunday, and I don't really remember what we did. This is so long ago, you guys. It's so crazy when I think about it. He's, like, got to be like 50 now. 51. If he was 26 at the time, and I've been sober for 24 and a half years, yeah, he's got to be 50. 50! And I like to kick. But he came up, and I don't really remember what we did. I don't. Like, we hung out. We went somewhere and, like, just kind of hung out that day. And then I remember we went out to dinner that night. I remember he had this gray, like, J. Crew roll neck sweater that everybody wore back then. I still have one like that, but it's brown. And I just remember thinking, he's so cute. And so anyway, he went out that night, and then he came back, and, you know, I had made, like, a pot of coffee and was sitting around probably watching a movie or something. And, like, I had like, you know, like a fire lit and candles lit, and it's a very cozy kind of environment that used to be like this, you know, depressing alcoholic den, you know, is now like professionally cleaned and bright and pretty and everything like that. And I remember, like, he came back. I used to always wear these pajama, I think they were like Abercrombie pajama pants, and they were like red. And then I was a lot thinner, okay? And I would wear, at night, like one of those, what do you call it? Like long underwear, you know, underneath, like that. I can't think of what that shirt is called, but you know, where you're like, anyway, long johns, like the shirt underneath there, the thermal, is that what you call it? Shirt, and then I would just wear that with like pajamas. And I remember he came back and I was like wearing that, and we were sitting there on the couch and we're like talking and all this kind of stuff, and he's asking me, you know, we're just like getting to know each other, and I don't know, we sat there and talked forever, and one thing led to another, and all I know is the next thing, I had like made up a bed for him, like on the couch, and at some point I was like, I still have those patio chairs back, not patio chairs, but lawn chairs out there. I've got to take them out of here. But at some point I was like, you know, if you want to just sleep in the bed with me, that's totally fine. Did you ever do one of those? Okay. You're probably laughing right now if you're like me, you know what I mean? Okay? So like, oh, we're totally just friends. You can just sleep in the bed next to me, right? I mean, not that I haven't had friends that I've slept in bed with, because I've had a lot of friends of mine that I've slept in bed with, and it was just friendly sleeping, but this was probably not the case. And I knew that because he was cute, and I was newly sober, and whatever. So all I know is, I'm going to give you guys the edited version. If all of my good friends have heard this story before, but so all I know is that, like, we're like making out in bed, and it's getting, you know, hot and heavy and all that kind of stuff. That's all you need to know. But it's getting hot and heavy. And at some point I turn and I look at him and I go, very seriously, I'm like, okay, so does this mean we're boyfriends? I was like, cinch the deal. And we were boyfriends, and that was my first boyfriend in sobriety. And I don't even know how I'm here today. He was kind of like the greatest thing and the worst thing that could have ever happened to me in that first year. You know what I mean? Like, he effed with my head a lot. And, what I didn't know was, because he lived in another town, he wasn't completely out, and he was also dating a girl, and that was his persona there. And then he had his persona when he would come and visit me. And I wouldn't say that he was necessarily like on the down low. Like, it wasn't necessarily that. I just think he was very confused about who he was. And, but I do remember like asking him when I found out about it. Like, he didn't identify as bisexual. I almost kind of think that I could have dealt with it better if he had. That wasn't the case. And so I don't know, but you know, like, this is on the heels of me being a very reckless person, and it brought up old memories to me of being reckless and wanting to wreck somebody's life. And let me tell you what I'm going to do and stuff. And I can remember talking to my sponsor, who I had not been very honest with about this relationship. And my sponsor said to me, you're going to end up drinking if you stay in this relationship, or whatever you end up doing, or ruining this person's life. Because I was like, I'm going to ruin your life, and everybody's going to know. And, you know, because that's who I, you know, like, that's how I had thought when I was drinking and using. So my sponsor was like, okay, I think you need to get, you know, you need to end this relationship. And I did. And but then oh, listen, I just love to be in love, okay? That's just what it is about for me. Like, I just love to be in love. And one of the things that he did give me was, I can remember, you know, he thought I was so handsome. I mean, I had dated all of these guys, right? Like dated guys, gone on dates, dated them for a couple weeks at a time and whatever. And nobody made me feel, drinking or sober, nobody had ever made me feel the way that he had made me feel. He made me feel so good about myself. You know, he would say, you're so talented, you know, you're so handsome, you know, like, I'm so proud of you. He was telling me things my family wasn't even telling me, you know, and it wasn't bullshit. Like, I mean, he was, it really wasn't. No, it wasn't. It wasn't bullshit. Like, he for real was being real with me, you know, like, it wasn't just to charm me on. He wasn't that big of an ass. I mean, what happened at the end of our relationship happened because I think he was confused about who he was. It wasn't intentional. It wasn't cruel. It wasn't like he set out to do that. It just, he didn't, I don't think, know what he was doing or something. I don't know. But then, I'm like, should I go get it? I think I'm gonna go get a Diet Coke. I'm thirsty. So yeah, so that relationship ended. Which I then later went and like saw him again in Chicago, because he moved to Chicago. And that trip ended disastrously as well. Oh my God. That was a whole other deal. Then he had kind of become kind of like arrogant and weird. And then, like, I reached out to him again. I'm always trying to make things right. I don't know why. I just don't like let some things go and be like, okay, obviously it's not meant to be pleasant, okay? You know what I mean? And so then, flash forward 20 years when my ex and I broke up. Was that when my ex and I broke up, or was it when my other ex and I think it was my ex. I reached out to him again, and I was like, you know, I just need to make this right and whatever, and the way that I treated you in these two situations. And well, the second time I didn't really owe him an amends, but I still, like, there was part of it that was me, you know. And we talked. And he was like, he like found me on social media, and he was like, it very quickly turned from like being very friendly and, hey, I appreciate that, and what's been going on with you, to you should come and visit, to let's hook up. And I was like, you know what, like, I'm kind of seeing your true colors now. I'm like who you've always been. And I think this is like very much that. And I think that's kind of probably who you've always been. And I think that's great. Like, you be you and you do you. That's not who I am, and I don't want any part of that anymore. You know what I mean? And so I was able to kind of like peacefully let that go. I've talked about him on here before. He'd be a great catch. He has an incredible job. He probably makes more money than God. And he is still extremely handsome. But I just, you know, that ain't me. You know, I'm just like, that's not. I don't know. I don't want to have to guess at somebody, who somebody is, you know. I think I used my last dollar for the meeting tonight. Oh, no, I didn't. You know, my husband's very real, and I always know where my husband's coming from, and I respect that about him. And he doesn't sugarcoat, and he doesn't bullshit. And when he's upset with me, I know he's upset with me. And when he's happy with me, I know that he's happy with me. And we don't have a bullshit relationship like that, and there's a lot to be said for that. I don't want to have to guess, you know. She is like yelling through that speaker. Did she just say muffin top? I am half tempted just to order a muffin top just to hear her say muffin top. So, yeah, I don't wish him any harm. Like, he's a good guy. I think he's just misguided.
Hi, thank you for choosing McDonald's. How may I help you?
Can I get a large Diet Coke, please?
Does that complete your order?
That does, thank you.
Your total will be 108 at the first window, please. Thank you.
One of Alex's friends, though, like, this is just kind of very telling. One of Alex's friends, so he's Alex's age, right? was like in Chicago, like visiting some friends. This was like 10 years ago, or 5 years ago, or no, it was longer than that. It's probably 10 years, 8 years ago, something like that. I don't know, it doesn't matter. But anyway, he called me like when he came back, and he was like, oh my God, he was like, I ran into your ex. And I was like, my ex? And he was like, yeah, so-and-so. And I go, oh my God, that's random. And I was like, where did you meet him? And I was like, and he goes, well, I was out at a bar with like his, like I was out at a bar and I met his boyfriend. I didn't even know he had a boyfriend. And he was like, and like, then he introduced me to him, and like they were trying to like take me home together and stuff. See? You do you, gal, okay? I'm just saying, you do you, but like not a whole lot had changed, okay? Like, he was always wanting to pull that stuff with me back in the day. And I'm like, listen, okay? I want you to like me for me, not for me and 10 other people too at the same time. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to be playing competition. I don't like all that. So anyway, but anyway, I was like, well, how did my name come up? And he was like, well, he asked me where I was from, and hold on a second.
Hi, 108.
How are you doing?
I'm doing okay, and then I have your diet here.
You do?
Yeah, so you don't...
Oh my God.
They're waiting for...
You got so excited.
Well, yeah, because they're going to be here for a minute.
How many times a day do you get to say muffin top?
Really? On overnights, I don't. I don't. I think it's the first time tonight I've actually heard
it. Was funny hearing you scream it through the thing.
Well, it's really loud out there for some
reason. It is really loud.
Like
your eyebrows are really pretty.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too, sweetie. Thank you. She was so fun, wasn't she? Okay, so her eyebrows were like on point. They look like they may have just woken up and had to come through here for some breakfast, and I don't hate them for it. Anyway, he was like, I don't know what happened. I'm not gonna say. I do know what happened. He went home with them, and they're like sitting there and like back at their apartment. The whole thing is so weird to me. And he's like, well, where are you from? And he's like, Indianapolis. And he's like, oh, my ex lives in Indianapolis. My ex of like 15 years before at this point, right? And he's like, and we dated for 3 months. It wasn't like we were together for 15 years or something, right? And he's like, who's your ex? And he goes, Peter Mon. And Alex's friend, I mean, he's kind of my friend too. He goes, he goes, one of my good friends dates him. And he goes, oh, really? And God, I just like, how am I like all of a sudden back in this like sordid situation? But it is what it is. Life is just weird. Life is so weird, you know? God. So then I get out of that relationship. That is so fine right there. I see pictures of him and stuff every once in a while. Do I have that towel in here? Damn it, Janet. I see pictures of him and stuff every once in a while. And I'm like, I mean, he's handsome, but his life just looks so boring. I mean, it just does. Like, what is going on? How do I have Diet Coke in my beard right here? I don't even understand. What is going on here with this split? I don't even know how to do this. But it's always like him and like 8 guys out to brunch, and they all have one like, you know, like they're just very that. Like, I don't know how to explain it. I just don't, like, I've never, like, okay. I have never, ever fit the norm. I just have never fit the norm, right? You know, when I was in high school, I don't know what it is. I don't know, like, I don't, like, this is not about bullying. This is not about that. I've just never fit in. I've always just been on the outside looking in of everything, right? And it's like, you know, when I was in high school, I just didn't fit in. It was me and, like, you know, my girlfriends, and we were all kind of freaks of a different sort, and I think we kind of made sense together. You know, elementary and junior high, I didn't fit in, you know? And, I don't know, I was just like, you know, always wanting to put on shows and do this, and everybody else was wanting to, I don't know, have war and whatever, and then even when I came out, you know, it's like I didn't really fit in. And I think to some degree, like, the drinking and the using drugs really helped me fit in and acclimate. I think that really was a big part of it. But, you know, like, I think it's probably pretty obvious I don't have a lot of gay friends. Most of my friends are women. And most gay guys today, I mean, this is a huge generalization, okay, that I'm about to make, but I have to say, I would say it's pretty true of many of the gay guys that I know. You know, they are at the gym a lot, and many of the gay guys in Indianapolis, like, get together for football games and stuff, like, and, you know, they all went to college together, or they're college friends, and, or they live in big cities, and they go to brunch, and they do this, and I don't fit into that. Like, I just don't have those, it's not entertaining to me. And you know what the really sad thing is? I really wish I did have some gay friends. Like, I really do. And I know, like, I've said that on here before, and people are like, well, why would it matter if they're gay or if they're not or whatever? You know, it does kind of, I think. It's like, I'm not saying that I want to have all gay friends. I'm just saying that I'd like to have a gay friend, maybe, you know, like one gay guy that I could, like, hang out with, and, you know, that understands what it's like to be a gay guy. You know, it's like why I have friends of mine that are sober, because they understand it. And, you know, I don't know, it was like 6 months ago. You know, I've said that to Tanya before, and I think she never got it, really. And then, like, 6 months ago, she said to me, she goes, you know how you always say, like, you'd like to have, like, one gay guy friend that you could, like, drive around with and just whatever. And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, I kind of get it. She's like, you know, I wish, and then my feelings got hurt, like hers have probably had, but she said, I kind of wish I had a woman friend like that. And she does now, like this friend of ours that we picked up tonight. But she's like, I kind of wish I had a woman friend like that, you know, and that I could complain about my husband to and whatever. And it's like, we do those things with each other. Tanya and I do that. And it doesn't matter, I don't think so much, but it's like, I don't know. Like, I do sometimes, like, see, like, all of these, like, gay guys, like, pictures of them on Instagram hanging out together, and I feel like there's a part of my life that I'm missing out on. But I've never been part of that, you know? Like, there was a brief period of my life where I had, you know, a group of gay guys that I hung out with, and that was a very short-lived period of my life. So I don't know. But anyway, after he and I broke up, I think about 2 weeks went by. And, well, it would have been the summer one session, which at that time, I know this is going to sound strange, but it would have started, like, at the end of April, well, maybe the beginning of May. So that would have been at the beginning of May. Well, because I took this class. It was I took my Intro to Film Studies class. And, I took an Intro to Film Studies class and a French cinema class, and he was in both classes. We were meant to be together through film. And I remember he sat in front of me in class, and he was, like, tall, and it's probably Alex's height. Alex is, like, 6'1", had curly hair, was a little bit longer, but not super long, like, just, you know, long, like, but tight on his head, and, he wore these round-rimmed glasses, and he was very much like, dude, like, Spicoli, you know, and I remember he always wore green. He loved green. He would wear, like, green socks, and he wore, like, this green striped shirt from Old Navy, and he would always come in, like, into class, like, he had just taken a shower, like, he was, like, wet, and he smelled, like, fresh. And he wore this cologne, and I wore it for a long time afterwards, called Woodland from Bath & Body Works, and it literally smelled like he stepped right out of the woods. And I just thought I mean, I remember him sitting in my class, I just thought this guy is so sexy, so cute. And we were outside smoking a cigarette on a cigarette break. And it was like he and I and like 4 other people. And he started asking me like all of these like movies. He was like, do you like this movie? Do you like that movie? And I was like, yeah. And then all of a sudden all the movies turned to like these gay movies. You know, like that you would only know like if you were gay, like Maurice and Jeffrey and these movies. And I was like wondering, I was like, why? I think I even asked him something. I was like, oh no, that was like, what just happened to my phone? My phone just lit up again. God, it spooks me. You guys, there's spooky stuff going on all around me right now. Somebody said they saw something outside my window last night at a certain number, and my phone's been doing that. I don't know. It's been weird. It has been a weird couple days around me. I don't know. Maybe this is him speaking to me. So, because if you haven't heard the story, I found out that he passed away a couple years ago. But, so, I don't know, but I found out that he was gay, and anyway, we like hung out. He like came over to my apartment, and we like sat up to like 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning and talking and walking to this gas station to get more cigarettes in the rainstorm. I remember he smoked Marlboro Light 100s. I don't know how I remember that. I just always thought it was funny that he smoked 100s. And he was in a band with his brother. He played bass guitar, and he wrote a song for me called St. Peter. Nobody had ever written a song for me before, you know? And we just so clicked. We just so clicked. And he was kind of really innocent to the whole thing, you know, too, of like being out and being gay, and like he had like really never, he had never dated anybody before, and so I was like the first one, which I was very aware of. And you know, there's this whole kind of like ideology that, like, it was at the end again, didn't know it. There's this whole kind of ideology in the gay community. I think it's also, you know, for heterosexual people, but I think really you hear a lot in the gay community that, like, you know, like when somebody's like straight out, like, and they've never been with anybody before, that they probably have to like sow their seeds to a certain degree before they're like in a relationship. And I think I was very aware of that with him. Like, I do know that I thought that he would want to go and like experience some stuff. And so as much as I liked him, I don't know that I ever, like, I thought we would be together for a long time, but I never thought it would be like a typical kind of relationship. I just kind of knew it wouldn't be. And he smoked a lot of pot. That was probably another problem. And because I can remember we fought a lot about it, and I would be like, and this is in early recovery again, and I'm not being honest with my sponsor. And I would just like tell him, like, he was supposed to show up at a certain time, and he would show up 2 or 3 hours later. And I would be like, dude, if you're gonna show up and you've been like getting high with your friends, just like don't show up at all. Like, period, right? So, but he was just like such a gentle soul, such a great guy, and one of the most compassionate, kindest people I've ever met in my entire life. One of the cutest people I've ever met in my entire life. And you know, it's weird. Like, Alex does things that Todd used to do. It's weird. Like, so Alex, like, will wink at me from across the room, and I can't wink. So I always think that that's real sexy. And Todd used to do that. And Alex did that before I told him, you know, and like, or like Alex pays attention to detail with like, you know, just, you know, holding my hand and things like that. And those were things that like I had really never had anybody do before. You know, Todd was the last person, and that was 24 years ago. And oh no. And then, so we were real good for a while, you know, and then I didn't even know that he had applied. to IU, Bloomington. And he called me. I can't remember if we met up. I feel like we met up somewhere for breakfast. We met at like Denny's or Perkins or Steak and Shake or whatever. Maybe not though. Maybe we just talked on the phone, but I can't remember. And he said that he was gonna go to IU, Bloomington. And he was really straight up. He was like, listen, I don't want to continue to date. I really care a lot about you. But I'm not going to go to Bloomington and act like, I'm not going to try to keep this long, because he didn't, wasn't going to have a car. And he was like, I'm not going to try to keep up this long distance relationship. And, and I was like, listen, I don't want to stand in the way of you being, I think maybe there's been a lot of times in my life I should have fought a little harder for relationships. I don't know. But I said, listen, I don't want to stand in the way of your happiness, I want you to go and I want you to experience college, and that's just not my journey, but, like for you, you should go do it. And, so we did. And then he goes to Bloomington. The story is tragic, but this is kind of the funny part of it. So he goes to Bloomington, and within a month, he meets a guy. But this was the weird thing about Todd and I. Like, we would run into each other, and when we would run into each other, he would be single, or this was just a story of our, like, next 20 years. Like, I would see him at the most random places, like at a thrift store. And I mean, we were both like kind of artsy, thrifty, different, and I would run into him at a thrift store, and we would just like lock eyes on each other like it was meant to be all over again. And then I would have a boyfriend, or we would run into each other, and like he'd be at, in a restaurant somewhere, and it would be like packed and crazy. I mean, it's like a movie almost. Like, it truly, truly was like a movie. And I would like see him like across from this room, and then like, I mean, I literally remember this one time I was like out with friends. I never go to football games, right? And like a bunch of friends were like, come and go, to downtown to this, we're gonna all go to dinner or whatever. And so like I met up with them, and I like look across, and it was at this place, I think called the Ram downtown. And I like look across, and I'm like, holy shit, there's Todd, I mean, it had been like years. And he's like at a big table of people. And then all of a sudden, like there was this guy like with his arm over him, and I'm like, it was always that for us. It was just like timing was always bad. And then 5 or 6 years ago, maybe, I was at my friend's house, and we were sitting around, and I was telling her about Todd, and the timing was off, and I was like, have you ever had like somebody, and she was like, I was telling her about, like it was like this super intense relationship, like love, connection, that we always had, and so I had been friends with him, like anyway, I like got on his Facebook, and I showed him. It's just like so surreal to me still to this day. I don't know. It's just weird to me to think that he's not here anymore. And even though like I would never hardly talk to him. Now, when my ex and I broke up, my ex that I dated before Alex and I got together, he came to visit. And I've told that story on here, and I don't feel like telling it tonight. It makes me sad. But anyway, he just was messed up. He just had gone down the wrong road, I think, of drugs. And I think he was really into some deep, heavy stuff. And he wasn't hearing anything from me. And his boyfriend had also died. And like, he had like, within the matter of like 3 years, his like boyfriend, like they had been together for like ever, like 15 years, had died. And like his dog had died, and his cat had died. It just was really this tragic story. And I just felt so bad for him. And, but you know, like when somebody comes to you and they're like, they just like dump it all in your lap and they're like, here, take it away. It's like, I didn't know what to do with it, you know? So anyway, I was telling my friend the story. We were sitting around drinking coffee one night on our couch. And, I don't know why this cracks me up, but I always think of this. So her daughter, like at the time, was like, I don't know, like 3rd grade or something. And so she would read the Harry Potter books with her kids every night. She has a son and daughter. He was like 3 years younger than her daughter. But anyway, so she would read the Harry Potter books to them. And it was like, she had a big Harry Potter book, like on the table next to the couch. And I would say, like, I would joke because she, like, when her kids were with their dad for the weekend, she would, like, read ahead because she wanted to find out so bad what was happening. And then she's like, but I have to put it back in my kids' bedroom. She was like, so, that they don't know that I've been, like, reading it while they've been gone. So anyway, I was sitting there and I was, showing her, I was getting ready to show her pictures of him on Facebook, and he had passed. And he had passed like 2 years before. There was like things on his Facebook that said things like, you know, like, I'll miss you, and it was like from 2 years before that. It was so bizarre. And then I kind of became consumed with it for a couple days. I remember I went home and I told Alex. I remember I said to Alex, I said, so I was over at so-and-so's house, you know, tonight. It was like a Saturday night, and he was like doing something with his friends, and like, so it was like that Sunday, and I was like, so I was over at so-and-so's house last night, and, you know, I was like showing her, and I said, and he knew of him, like we had talked about him, you know, like Alex and I have been very open about our past with each other. And I said, you know, like, I was showing her pictures of this guy, you know, like, I was showing her pictures of Todd, and I was telling her the story, you know, like, how it always seemed like we were supposed to be together. And Alex, like, goes, you can still be with him if you want to be with him. And I go, oh, really? No, I can't, because he's dead. I remember that was like, it was like this heated conversation when we were having, like, brunch. And he's like, what are you talking about? And I was like, he's dead. I found out he was dead last night. I was like, I don't get on Facebook and stalk these people. I go, I don't have any desire to know what's going on with all my exes. I was so wrecked over that, you know? You never know when somebody's gonna go. And the ability, it wasn't even about being with him, it was about the ability of making all of that right, you know? And just, I don't know, he could have lived such a fantastic life. It breaks my heart. And then to make matters worse, so there was this girl on his page that she was like leaving some comments and stuff, and I had kind of remembered her name from like when we dated. Like, it just looked kind of familiar to me, so I reached out to her and I was like, I don't know if you're the right person to reach out to, but I was basically like, I used to date Todd, and you know, I don't know if you've ever heard of my name or whatever. And she totally knew who I was. She was like, Todd talked about you all the time, blah, 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 whatever. And so we kind of started talking, and she told me a little bit more of what happened, and it just was very sad. And, yeah, it just was very sad. His family didn't have a funeral for him. There was no obituary in the newspaper. It was like he didn't exist, you know? And I don't know, I don't think maybe he was somebody that really would have cared about that, honestly. I don't have like tons of regrets in my life, you know, but I am somebody that says I do live with regret. I mean, I do have things that I regret. And I have to say that one of my greatest regrets is that I never got to have like a last conversation with him, you know, like just to let him really know how important he had been to me at a certain point in my life, and that I thought about him often, fondly, kindly, you know, that he had impacted me. I don't think that we let people know that a lot, you know. I think he lived a very lonely life the last couple years after his boyfriend died. I think he was very sick. And did you guys know that I've had several boyfriends that have passed away? My very first boyfriend ever, Jack, passed away. I've talked about him on here before. And which was so weird is they've been gone for so long now, you know. Then I dated this other guy. No, we were like friends, but like we kind of dated a little bit. He passed away. I always find out afterwards too. It's like I never find out. You know, like when you imagine like going to somebody's wedding or going to somebody's funeral or whatever. Like I always find out like years later. Like with him, that guy that I was just talking about. Well, with my boyfriend Jack, I didn't find out for like a year, I think. And then with Todd, it was like 2-3 years. And then with this other guy that I dated, I was at a gas station one night. And he and I used to hang out with this other girl, and I ran into her. This was literally like 3 years ago. And I ran into her, and I was like, hey, how are you? And this is somebody that knows Alex, too. Like, we're friends with Alex. And like, I had never, like, I don't know that, like, in front of Alex, I'd ever brought him up or something like that, because it was just, like, a really brief thing. We were, like, we dated, like back in college, but, like, we were, like, friends. Like, after I got sober, well, when would it have been? I don't know when it would have been. It probably would have been before I got sober then. But anyway, he's not like somebody that I talk about, you know? But anyway, I'm like, oh, do you ever, somehow we were talking about like college days. We were just standing there at the gas station talking, and I was like, do you ever talk to, you know, so-and-so anymore? And she's like, Peter, he died like a really long time ago. I go, what? She was like, yeah, he died like 10 years ago. I was like, what? Like, it's just so bizarre to me that these people that are like part of my past, part of my history. I mean, like, I feel like when I look back on my history of my life, there is so much of my history that is just like erased, like they just don't even exist. Like from my family to like friends. I've had so many of my friends that have passed away, you know? It's just crazy to me when I look, you know, at my life. I mean, there's a lot of people that are obviously still here. There's just so much loss, you know? And I think the really sad thing is I never really realized it or acknowledged it while I was living it. Like, I never really thought, like, there will be a time when these people aren't here anymore, you know? I just didn't think that way. I don't think most of us do. I do think about Todd, though, the most, I think, because I think you know, I wonder what if with him. Like, maybe if in a different world. I always think of that movie, Prince of Tides, you know? Where at the end of it, he's like, if for every man there were 2 lives. You know, I always kind of wonder, like, what would have happened. It's funny when you look at the trajectory of your life and like where it took you and where it led you and the things that happened and who you met and who you dated. And, you know, when you do that and you realize that, like I've always said, like it feels like there's like this long blue like string I think I used to say red string, but I like blue string better. That like connects like all of these things between each other, right? And so when you look at them, maybe 1 or 2 or 10 events that occur at a certain time, you know, have really no meaning to them, right? But then when you look at the fact that they were setting up something that was supposed to happen later, then it kind of makes sense. And so there's this connectedness to the world, right? That the things that happen are they're not by happenstance, you know, that they happen and they're happening for a certain reason. And oh, these people have all these Halloween decorations over here. So back far off the land, how would you even see it though? Oh, they have Halloween decorations all around their whole house, around the whole thing. But I think that, you know, like for me, when I've looked at life, you know, it's like, okay, so this happens, and then you're building upon this and this and this, and then this happens, and then it connects to this over here, and it all kind of makes sense in the long run, you know? Maybe in some kind of weird world, you know? Tanya was asking me about something tonight, and she was like, well, what do you think that would ever be possible? And I said, yeah, maybe like 5 dimensions down, 200 years in the future, and 4 doors over that way, maybe. I go, but I don't even entertain that. You know what I mean? It's like, sometimes, oh my God, the battery is gonna die. Sometimes things are just, I think, not supposed to happen. You know what I mean? Like maybe the lesson has been completed. I think that's the other thing too. I think I do have my battery in here though. Hold on. Okay, my battery died. And there was like no place to pull over. It's literally been like 5-10 minutes. There was no place to pull over out in the middle of the fields out there, and I was not pulling over. So next to some cornfields, so I waited until I came to this little gas station that's like out in the middle of nowhere. I'm getting myself spooked tonight, I don't know why. I think I was talking about like the connectiveness of life and things like that. But I do think, I don't know, maybe it's that I look for meaning in life, and maybe it's that I look for things to have, you know, I look for things to have meaning. I don't know. Or connectedness, but it seems like they do. You know, like, even just, like, with being with Alex, like, this is gonna sound crazy, but, like, it's hot in here. You know, at the time that I saw Alex out, I knew it was gonna get, like, immediately cold in here. But at the time that I saw him out, and I reached out to him and sent him a message, like, I was in a very kind of fragile state of mind, but at the same time, like, kind of this effort attitude that I didn't really care if I was rejected by somebody. I don't know if that makes sense, but, like, prior to that, I probably wouldn't have reached out. I would have, like, if my mom hadn't been sick and I wasn't, you know, spending all this time in the hospital, and I wasn't just like, life is short, whatever, I don't think I would have, because I think I would have thought it through and been like, well, what if he says no, and then all these people say stuff because they know who he is. Because Alex was kind of like, I mean, people knew him, and I knew that people knew him. I could see, like, when I would see him out, like, but a lot of people knew him and stuff, you know, and I probably would have talked myself out of it, been like, no, like, if he says no, whatever, which he did say no at the beginning and said, you know, that he was still interested in his ex. And even that, like, I was kind of just like, oh, okay, well, you know, hit me up if you ever change your mind, and which he did. But I think, like, you know, had I not gone through that with my mom, I think that I don't know that Alex and I would be together right now, you know? And then I often think that it's weird that, you know, with Alex I got this like great, amazing family. And, you know, I think to myself a lot that my mom would have really enjoyed that. Like, she would have really liked Alex's family, you know? And it almost kind of feels like a gift that she gave me. I know that sounds strange, but I feel like it's almost kind of like a spiritual gift that my mom gave me Alex's family at a time that I needed it. See, if I don't have the heat on, though, then the windshield fogs up. It's 43 degrees right now. We are entering the cold weather of October. So yeah, like, I feel like, you know, I mean, and that's just kind of one small thing, but when I even look at, like, how I'm on YouTube, you know, it's crazy to think about how, like, the chain of events that it wasn't just like I'd always been like, oh, I always want to have a YouTube channel. I mean, I was always interested in it, but it wasn't like that was my dream. I mean, YouTube's not been around that long, you know? And it was like one thing led to another, led to another, led to another. And even with my channels, it's been like that, you know? So I don't know. I think if I get it to the end of my life and I find out, well, I guess I won't, because there will be nothing at the end of my life if that's the case, you know, but I'm a believer in an afterlife. But if I were to get to the end of my life and there was nothing and it was just, you know, total blackness forever and ever and ever, you know, darkness and for eternity, what have I lost by applying meaning to my life? I've lost nothing, you know? I've just enriched my life by maybe applying some meaning here and there. But if there is something, then hasn't it made me strive to be a better person and learn from my experiences? You know, hasn't it made me think about who I am and who I want to be and how to be a better person and look at my experiences that I've had and take with them, you know, like even just since I talked a lot about Todd, just in appreciating the time that I have with people and letting people know how important they are to me when they're there. Like, that's really important for me today, is to let people know how important they are to me. Because, you know, and that's not just from Todd, but that's from my mom, from my aunt, my uncle, you know, but I did let them all know, like, how important they were to me, you know. I think sometimes maybe it's about looking at the people that we're afraid to say that to, that are really that important to us, you know. It's like I've said this on here before, but like there was a long time when Tanya and I never said, like, I love you to each other, you know, and we do now. We have for quite some time, but, and I don't know what changed that. I think we kind of both realized, you know, that we didn't use words of affection towards each other. I think we're afraid of that sometimes. It's like this girl that works for Tanya. Like when I went to Woofstock the other night, she was like at the thing, and I know her, but I don't know her as well as like some of the other girls. So anyway, I was like going around, I gave like, you know, Tanya's husband a hug, and I gave Tanya a hug, and I was going around giving everybody a hug, you know, and I came to her, and I like put my arm around her, and she kind of like went in, and I said, oh, you're not much of a hugger, and Tanya goes, she's not much of a hugger. I go, well, we're huggers, and she started hugging me back. She was real sweet about it, you know, and it's just like, she laughed, you know, and gave me a big hug, but I think that's the thing too, is like people in recovery are typically, you know, like huggers. And where did I hear that the first time? I remember I went to some meeting and I like put my hand out. And this woman was like, oh no, we hug at this meeting. This vlog has gone in so many different directions that I didn't expect it to go in. Do you think sometimes when people that have passed, like when we're talking about them or we think about them, do you think that that means that they're close to us at that moment? I always wonder that. Did you ever think about, not so much with a point of regret, but if you could go back and change things in your life, would you? Or would you leave them the way that they are because they happened the way that they were supposed to, because of like this connectedness in our journey and things like that? I think about that a lot too, you know? If I could go back and fine tune anything or change anything, would I? Or would I leave it the way that, you know, I think it's easy to say like the really painful stuff, you would go back, maybe take that away, but for me, I think I sometimes learned more from that than I did. And I do believe that I learned more from that than those painful moments than anything else, you know? I think that's sad that in life, maybe we're not prepared to learn from the successes and that we learn more from the pain and things, but I think it's true. I think it's hard, but I think it's true, you know? I think it's about, one of the things I've learned, you know, it's interesting because it's like, I think with the lessons in life, it's kind of like taking, you know, like let's just say French, for example, or like a foreign language. You know, you take French 1, and then you take French 2, and you take like French 3 and 4, right? And then maybe accelerated French, and then you like go as an exchange student or something, right? And it's like, it becomes more fine-tuned. Like, you pay more attention. You pay closer attention, you know? And I think that that's, like, kind of what's happened to me with, like, lessons in my life. It's like I learn a lesson, and then it's like I look closer, and I look closer, and I look closer, right? And so, maybe, like, if I've learned the lesson of paying more attention in my life to people and to things, and then I think it's about paying closer attention, and then also maybe evaluating, like, why are they there, you know? And the other thing is this, is that, like, I kind of swing back and forth between things, you know? It's like Tanya and I talk a lot about this, is that I can be somebody that can, like, evaluate too much of my life. Like, I can look at things and be like, too much of what's my part, too much of, like, why is this present in my life, what is the meaning? Like, sometimes it's just not that intellectually deep, you know? Sometimes it just isn't that deep. Sometimes it just is because it is. And I think that's the other thing, too, is just acknowledging the fact that life is life, you know, and it's not always about every little thing has some huge meaning behind it. Like, that's just not the case, you know? And I think sometimes it's about, for me, just acknowledging that life is life and appreciating that and understanding that. I don't know. That not everything is going to have some huge meaning to it. But I do think that, like, with things that I don't understand, that it's okay for me to, like, pose a question and be like, well, is there something that I can learn from this? You know, when I'm going through something that, to me, is troubling or doesn't make sense in my life, or doesn't seem to serve any purpose, especially if it doesn't seem to serve any purpose, I ask myself, okay, is there something that I can learn from this? Like, is there maybe a grander lesson? And if there is, what is it? You know? What is one thing that I can take from this? You know, I remember when I was, like, early in sobriety, And like, I just really had a hard time. You know, my attention span is not great anyway. And I hate, like, I hated, like, going to meetings and just, like, sitting there. And, like, especially if it was, like, I went to a lot of speaker meetings, which is people telling stories, you know, or telling their story, and they're giving their lead. And I would sit there and I would just be so bored a lot of the time, you know. And my first sponsor would have me take a notebook and a pen, and he would say, anything that you relate to, I want you to write down. And I'd be like, what do you mean, anything? And he'd be like, if they say I'm an alcoholic, I want you to write down, I'm an alcoholic. And I'm like, seriously? Like, anything? He's like, yep. If they say, like, you know, I'm 22 years old, I want you to write down, I'm 22 years old. Anything that you relate to, I want you to write down and say that you relate to it. And I was like, okay. And I was like, why? And he was like, because I want you to look at the similarities instead of the differences. You know, I want you to see, you know, what maybe the meaning is for you to hear their story. Maybe there's something that you're missing because you're looking at all of the reasons why it shouldn't be there instead of why you shouldn't be there instead of the reasons why you should be there listening to it. And I think about that a lot, you know, today, even to this day, I think about that, you know, like 24 and a half years later, that, I think I do that in life a lot. And instead of looking for the maybe the meaning or the similarity to do that, but then it, like I said, it's a fine line. Like, I don't want to pick my life apart too much. Like, I don't want to be like, oh, it's about this and it's about that and it's about this and it's about that. You know, when sometimes life is just not that deep. It just really isn't. I mean, life is deep, but not every moment of life is that deep. You know what I mean? Some of it just is life. Well, all right, listen, you guys, I'm going to get off here and try to listen to my audiobook for a little bit. I have so many books I want to read this month. I've got to finish it. I have got to finish it. I want to listen to Now Entering Adamsville by Francesca Zappia. I want to listen to it so bad, and I want to listen to The Chain. My friend asked me tonight, she's like, did you listen to The Chain? I was like, no. And she's like, it's so good. I have all these books I want to listen to, and I've got to get done with this book. So, okay, that's my goal for today and tomorrow, is to finish My Friend Anna. So I'm going to get off here now. I hope you guys are having an amazing Wednesday, unless you have other plans. But like I always say, do not have other plans. Make the most of your day. Make the most of your Wednesday. This is going to be the last time you ever experience Wednesday, October 9th, 2019 in your entire life. This day is special. It's unique. Make the most of it. Do something special that you look back on and be proud of or be happy of today. Paint a picture. Sing a song. Dance a dance. And, what's that saying? Dance as if nobody is looking. I say dance as if everybody's looking, and enjoy it. Just dance to your heart's content. Sing to the mountaintops. Ah! Anyway, I hope you guys have an amazing Wednesday, like I said, unless you have other plans. But don't have other plans. Make the most of today. And if nobody else has told you this today, I love you. Make sure that you look at yourself in the mirror every single day and say, I love you. You are important. You are valuable. Your life has meaning. And do your daily affirmations every single day. Make sure that you pass them on, or do your daily affirmations every day with your gratitude list and all of that. And tell yourself good things about yourself and that good things are going to happen for you today. And most importantly, make sure that you pass it on to somebody else, like I was talking about earlier, and letting somebody know in your life. Pick somebody random today that you haven't thought about or talked to in a long time, and let them know, hey, I was just thinking about you today, and I just want you to know that you mean something to me, and something, I don't know what, but you mean something. No, let them know how important they are to you, and yeah. It can make the difference in somebody's life. Maybe they need to hear it today. You don't know. You know what I mean? Anyway, I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya! Love ya! Love ya. Love ya, love it, love it. Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing today? Tonight? Well, I did it again. I slept straight through the night. It is currently 6:08 a.m. on Saturday, so this is Friday's vlog. But I feel really rested, so the reason why it's a problem is not so much that I'm getting up at 6 a.m. and filming my vlog, which I'm sure is strange to a lot of people, but it's not strange to me. Actually, I saw my neighbor yesterday, my new neighbor that moved in. She was like, "You have kind of crazy hours." And I said, "Yeah." And she knew that I like make videos for YouTube. And I was explaining to her what I do, and I said, you know, sometimes I like to go to sleep with Alex, and so like I'll go to sleep with Alex, and then I'll wake up and be like, "Oh my god, I forgot, you know, I still have to go vlog," and I'll go outside and I'll vlog and whatever. And she was like, "That's so much fun that you get to do that." And I was like, "Yeah, I love it," you know. So anyway, it wouldn't really be a problem today because I would go back home and maybe go back to sleep for a couple hours, although I'm weirdly like awake. And I think the reason is because I literally got 7+ hours of sleep. I slept straight through the night. I mean, I was out. I remember like Alex and he like put his hand across my chest, and we were like talking about today or Saturday, and I turned like, and I was like, "Good night, babe, love you," and I like turned over and I was out. Like, I don't remember anything after that. And he was on his phone when I told him good night. So it is cold in Indianapolis. It is 30 degrees. Oh, but the reason why like it usually wouldn't matter, but today it does, is because today is Carlitos' birthday party, which is at 2 p.m. And I'm meeting Alex there because he has like work stuff he has to do today. And then I got some water before I left. I was so thirsty for water. You know, and of course I want to make videos and stuff, so we've got to figure out a time to do that, because we're apparently going to his birthday party at 2 o'clock. I'm sure that will probably go 2 hours, 3 hours, and then we're supposed to go back over to Carlos and Liliana's for like, to hang out and do like birthday cake or something over there. So it'll end up being this very long deal. Well, I also have my audiobook that I have to listen to. And so my plan had been to really drive around tonight, Saturday night, and listen to like 4 hours of it. That had been my plan, to listen to 4 hours on Saturday night and 4 hours on Friday night, sorry, and 4 hours on Saturday night, and then have the whole thing done. I know there are some people that are like so confused right now, like what day it is and whatever, watching this. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. It's like Janice Joplin said, it's all the same effing day, man. But you know, like, I was gonna listen to 4 hours on Friday night. I was gonna get my vlog done early, and then, because that's why I laid down at like 10:30 and something like that, and I was gonna lay down from 10:30 to like 11:30, I think is when I set my alarm, and then get up, and I was gonna vlog from like 11:30 to 12:30, and then I was going to listen to my audiobook till like 4:30 in the morning. And then tonight, I was gonna listen to like another 4 hours throughout the day, and then I'd have the book done. Well, now I've screwed myself because it is the day before the live stream. We may have to move the live stream. I just don't know how I'm possibly gonna get this book done in 24 hours. I don't know. I need to talk to Mel about it today. I mean, it's not like it's a huge ordeal. There's only like 30 people that come to the live stream, which is great. You know, I mean, I've never in a million years thought I'd ever have a book club that had that, you know, 30 to 50 people that attend. Here's my coffee lip balm. There's like 2,000 people that are active, like, well, 2,000 people in the book club. And of course, not everybody reads the book every month, but there's quite a few people that read the book that just don't come to the live stream. I would do the live streams on YouTube since I figured that out. But last time we guested a bunch of people. That water tastes so good. But last time we guested a bunch of people, And I want to be able to do that again, and you cannot do that on YouTube Live anymore. Plus, I can kind of like moderate what's going on a little bit easier. The fact that it's smaller, I don't know, keeps it just a little bit nicer. So, because it doesn't go so fast, you know. So that's supposed to be on Sunday at 4 p.m. I'm gonna have to talk to her today and see what we're gonna do. I don't want to go into it just not having finished the book. I like the book. I just don't know that there's any way that I can possibly get it done. That means I have to listen to 9 hours in 24 hours. I just don't know that there's any possible way that I can get that done. So anyway, but I had kind of planned that on Saturday I wasn't sure that I was going to make videos anyway because of Carlitos' birthday party, and I just kind of wanted to be with family and stuff. So I was like, well, maybe I'll just take the day. But on Friday, because I was so busy, I had like all this sobriety stuff to do on Friday. I was like, I had like this commitment in the early evening, and then I was had to meet with a friend of mine in the afternoon. And I was like, well, maybe, but I ended up making videos on Friday. So, okay, what did I do? I got up, and like I said, this vlog, did I say this already? This vlog is not going to be super long. It just can't be, you guys, today, because I have too many things. I'm on my way currently, well, I'm in the direction of, whenever I finish vlogging, I'll probably go in there and do it. I'm in the direction of going to get Carlitos' birthday present. Alex already got him something. He got him a bunch of Spider-Man stuff. Apparently when he was at Target. So Alex got off work yesterday and he went over and picked up Sarah, and then they went to Target and he bought Carlitos' birthday present. He was gonna get it from both of us, but I was like, no, I want to get him something too. So when he was there, he FaceTimed Carlitos and like was showing him stuff, and I was like, well, that makes it real exciting for the kids. So he got him like the Spider-Man stuff. He really wants a remote control car, so I think I'm gonna get him a remote control car is what I'm gonna do. People are up and early at Denny's this morning. So yeah, that's the direction I'm going in. But anyway, what was I gonna say? So this is gonna have to be a short vlog today. I got up on Friday and I'm trying to think of what I did. Oh, like I got up and I took the dogs out, gave PP his medication, and then I had to like leave and get out of the house because I had to go meet up with my friend. And so I went and met up with my friend for coffee. And then I had a bunch of errands to run after that. My day seemed to go so quick because I didn't leave there until like 3, and then I had to be at this recovery commitment thing at 5, and so it was like my day went super fast. I came home in between and I filmed. Did I do it afterwards or before? No, I did it afterwards. After, so like I did this saying it was like an hour long. It's like an hour and a half long. And then I got home about 6:45 and I filmed a video for my Peter Mon channel, and then I filmed a video for my Peterisms channel, and I wanted to do a review video, but I didn't get to it. And not enough hours in the day. That's how I feel. I was thinking about this yesterday because I announced my book and my Peterisms channel so I'm going to start doing this like every month on my Peterisms channel. I'm going to read a book. There's going to be like, it's like kind of like a read along, not necessarily like a book club, but like a read along. Self-help or motivational book. And so for November, I'm reading The 4 Agreements, and by Don Miguel Ruiz. I've never read it before. I heard it was fantastic. And, but I was thinking about, you know, like how in my life, I've had people like criticize me and be like, you're always starting things, you're always like new ideas, and you sometimes like don't like your ideas never, you know, come to fruition, but a lot of times they do, you know? A lot of my ideas that I've started, like a book club or like a vlog or whatever, have taken on a life of their own, or YouTube. You know, when I started doing YouTube on BookTube, that was like when I was committed to like posting regularly. I never thought, I mean, I never in a million years thought that it would turn into this, you know? Where it literally became my life. I just really had no idea. And that was just 3.5 years ago. So it's crazy how, you know, much your life can change in such a short amount of time. I posted this picture yesterday on my Instagram, and I was like, can't wait to be back. It was like from Miami, and I was like, can't wait to be back in Miami, or be back in Miami next week or something. Will be our second home, hopefully very soon or something. Oh my God, I got so many people from like my personal life that called me and was like, are you moving? Did you not tell us something? Blah, 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 whatever. Like Melissa texted me and she was like, are you moving to Miami? What's going on? I was like, Melissa, we were just at your house last night. Don't you think we would have told you? And, but we have kind of been on the down low looking at houses, and, it's been very exciting. We have some areas picked. And we kind of did anyway, that we, like, areas that we were looking at. I would love to be right in South Beach, but that's just not realistic. It's just too expensive. And as much as I like that Brickell area, which is one of the areas that we looked at, I just don't know that we can afford that. Like, I just think, I mean, I just don't want to be house poor for a second home, you know, that we're not going to be in all the time. And it's not really in an area that you could Airbnb it. I mean, you could, but I don't know that. I don't know. And that's not really what I want to do with a place anyway. Like, if I have my own second place, like, I want to have my own second place that I can go to whenever I want. But, so anyway, yeah, I don't think I really want to say a whole lot more about that right now. But we are seriously starting to look at some places. The other thing is that we would never move completely from Indianapolis. We would go back and forth. PP had a great day today. He was weird. I don't know if maybe it's the weather and now he's used to it or what, but he woke up today, and what is this sandwich called? It says, is it called a Pilgrim? And it's like all turkey. The Pilgrim, it is. And it's like, oh, a Thanksgiving feast in every bite, and it's cranberry sauce and turkey, and at the Get-Go gas station. They should sponsor my channel, the Get-Go, for me sending people to go eat their Thanksgiving feast sandwich. See, that's like something that sounds good if I wasn't a vegetarian. But like turkey almost sounds worse to me though than a cheeseburger, in all honesty. PB did great today. I think he coughed like once the entire day, and he was super active, and he was running around in the backyard. I don't know if maybe he's just, now it's 34 degrees, that's so weird. Maybe he is just used to the weather. I think what happened was the night before I had felt bad for him because he just seemed so hungry, and he doesn't like that food. So I gave him like a huge plate of Boo and Tucker's food, and he literally ate it down in like like 2 seconds. And I think it just made him sick. I think like he was like, his little stomach couldn't handle it. And I thought I was doing something right, you know. He just hates that food that he eats. Like, he hates it. Like, tonight we put it down and he wouldn't eat it. And you know what was so funny was, I stood in the kitchen finally and I was like, Pee-Pee, I was like, that food is perfectly fine. You need to eat your food, Pee-Pee. And he looked up at me and then he started eating the food. When I stood right there, he ate it. Like, ate it. And, like, not like just nibbled around it, but like he ate it. But then he did that for like 5 minutes and then he looked up at me and he like walked away. And like half the plate was left. I was like, damn it, Pee-Pee. You know, and our vet had always said, she said, I would rather have a lean dog with a with heart disease than a heavy dog with heart disease. So, you know, she's always happy with his weight, but I don't want him to get thin. Like, I don't want him, you know. And Pee-Pee's never been heavy, and he's never been super thin. So, but he's doing much better today. He was running around the backyard and chasing his brothers, and then I had to, like, he's so funny. At one point, like, Boo and Tucker came inside, and I was like, Pee-Pee. I was like, come on, Pee-Pee, let's go inside. Let's have treats. And he just, like, looked at me. And so I, like, walked inside, and I was, like, doing some other stuff, and I came back out there, because, like, he just walked around the backyard, and I go, Pee-Pee, I go, come on, we gotta have treats, let's go. And he just, like, stopped and looked at me, and then he kept on, like, sniffing the grass. So I let him keep on walking around. I went back out there like 3 or 4 minutes later. And I go, Pee-Pee, I go, you better come on. And he just stopped and looked at me and I go, okay, I guess no treats then. And he came like running inside. It was so funny. It's so weird, you know, like Alex said to me yesterday, he said, I'm starting to worry that maybe Pee-Pee is starting to wind down. You know, that because like a lot of what we've read, I need to stay off those articles, but like, my vet always tells me that. She's like, every situation is completely different. Do not read articles about that stuff. But, you know, they'll say, oh, dogs with heart disease start to wind down and they get real lethargic at the end and they lose their appetite. You know, it's like, so I pick, you know, and choose symptoms that Pee-Pee has and put them all together and basically say, well, it's over, you know. And then I get real worried and real stressed out. And so Alex was like, yesterday, he was like, because Pee-Pee just didn't seem himself at all. And he was like, I think maybe he's starting to wind down. And Alex got real upset. And I was like, oh, I'm not ready for this. You know, I'm just not. I'm not ready for my life to change that drastically, I guess. And, I mean, we don't have any control, you know, over when pets go. I get so many, you know, comments in the comment sections from you guys. It just breaks my heart for you when you're like, oh, my, you know, I lost my dog today, or, and I always feel so horrible for you guys, you know. And I mean, I know it's a part of of life, you know, but so anyway, I was worried I was going to wake up and he was going to be 10 times worse than he had been on Thursday, but that wasn't the case. So he was 100% better, and I was very happy about it. And he's doing good this morning, because right before I left, I took them out, and he just leaped off the bed to go outside, and I took him outside, and then I gave him his morning medicine stuff, so. Anyway, I was singing that Donna song for Alex. I was like, oh, Donna. He was like, I was like, do you know that song? He was like, no. And I'd actually downloaded it like a couple weeks ago, and so I have it like on my iPad or what do you call it when it's in your phone? Just your iTunes? Is that what you call it? Just your iTunes? I was like, here, I'm gonna play it for you. He was not impressed, and I was standing up and I was like swaying it, and I was using it as like a microphone, and I had a girl and I was her name. But my favorite part of this song, what's my favorite part? Well, it's not till the very end. I didn't realize it till I was listening to the song. It's like the last 30 seconds. So then I was like, do you know Richie Valens? And he was like, didn't he die in a plane? And I go, is that all you know about Richie Valens? And he goes, well, what do you know? And I go, didn't you see the movie? And he goes, what movie? And then I couldn't remember what the movie was called, you guys, and I had to like look it up. And I couldn't remember it, and I looked up Richie Valens movies. Well, apparently, to my idiocy, Richie Valens was like in a ton of movies, like in the 50s or 60s or whatever, you know, like Elvis was. And so it pulled up all of those movies, and I was like, what was that? And then all of a sudden it pulled up Lou Diamond Phillips' picture, and I was like, yes, Lou Diamond Phillips, that's who it is. And it was La Bamba, and I had totally forgot that it was da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da, la-la-la-la-la-la Bamba. So I said to Alex, this is truly what it is like living with me, just so you know. So for you 14 haters that dislike my video every day, this is what it would be like for you all the time. But anyway, I was like, do you know that movie? And he was like, what movie? And I was like, la 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 Bamba. I know I missed or added a few laws in there. But anyway, I hope I got one of my haters to at least smile just a little bit, because y'all are so bitter. But anyway, better! He said, of course I know that movie. I go, well, you don't know Donna. He goes, well, who's Donna? And I go, Donna was his girlfriend in the movie. He goes, he died in a plane accident. I go, I know he died in a plane accident, Alex, but he had a girlfriend, her name was Donna, and he wrote a song for her. Was she his wife or something? I can see her in the movie. Whatever happened to Lou Diamond Phillips? So Alex and I tonight, I got done with my videos. He came home. I did not start my diet today. I'm sure it's a real surprise to people, and I'm real let down over it. But anyway, I was like, well, maybe Monday. Anyway, maybe Monday in June. I mean, it's just a joke, isn't it? So anyway, I got food, not healthy food either. I got Burger King. And so anyway, and sat there and ate, and he had all this chili, and we watched both episodes, the last 2 episodes of American Horror Story that we hadn't watched. It's so still on the, I was at the end and didn't even know it. It's so still on the lake this morning. But we watched both episodes of American Horror Story that we hadn't seen, and yeah, it was good. I might have gotten Burger King and a Crunchwrap Supreme. A black bean Crunchwrap Supreme. And my husband might have had several bowls of chili and 2 cookies from Melissa's. Look, it was Friday night. Anyway. So, yeah, so we watched American Horror Story. I'm trying to think what the episodes were. They were good. It just doesn't seem very cohesive to me this season. I'll have to say, this is one of the seasons, American Horror Story. It's called 1984 if you're not watching it. And it's basically like modeled after like 80s horror movie, of which you know I love. And like, I was really excited about it when it started, and I'm not excited about it now. Like, it's okay. Like, I enjoy watching it, and I enjoy it. I enjoy having a show together that Alex and I watch. He really doesn't like the season, and but I'm just not that excited about it. I just don't think it's that good. I find myself talking about other stuff. Like we were sitting there, we both love Billy Lords, I think is her name. And so he was like, he said something about her tonight. And I said, I love her. I said, she's fantastic. She was in Scream Queens too. And he was like, she just came out of nowhere. And I said, she's one of the richest women in Hollywood. And he goes, what? And I go, she's one of the richest women in Hollywood. And he said, we have this argument every time, he forgets who she is. And he goes, from doing Scream Queens in this show, no she's not. And I go, her mother was Carrie Fisher. And her grandma was Debbie Reynolds. I don't know why I can always never remember it's Debbie Reynolds. And I said I think she and her brother split the inheritance or something like that. Or she and Carrie Fisher's brother split the inheritance or something like that. And he was like, really? I was like, yeah. I go, Carrie Fisher, Princess Leia from Star Wars. He's like, I know. He was so cute tonight. Alex had all the dogs around him. But then because all the dogs, Boo and Tucker were like right together. It was so cute. But because so he sits down and then he puts the blanket over his lap. And then the dogs like all sit on the blanket around him. But then he thinks that is a reason to have me go get him things. So he was like, I have some sprees in there. But he said they were sweet tarts. He was like, I have some sweet tarts in there. Can you get those for me? And I went in there. And I was like, you mean sprees? He was like, yeah, sprees. Can you give me my sprees? I was like, yeah, sure. Then he was like, can you give me another blanket? Like, is there anything else you want me to do? Because you can't get up. He's like, I have the dogs. He kept on going, I have the dogs. Oh, man. I met a girl. Oh, that's my favorite part where it goes, oh, Jana. But that's at the very end, in case you want to know. It's like literally in the last 30 seconds. We went to a friend's house the other night that's like up the street, and we came from the other way, like down here, coming this way, and I never go down there. Like, I always turn around in this church, which is like out in the middle of nowhere anyway. If you live in Indianapolis, I'm in Oaklandon right now, which I have no reason to drive to Oaklandon, right? It's kind of out in the middle of nowhere. So, but it's like the backside of Geist, which is where I grew up. So if you go down here, there's like a gas station and like strip malls and stuff like that. So we came from that direction and we were going over here, and Alex said something about where, he goes, oh, I know where we are now. He was like, you know, me and so-and-so used to go to lunch over here all the time because Alex used to do a bunch of work stuff over here. And I was like, oh yeah. And all of a sudden we passed this church and I was like, that's that church that I turn around in all the time. It's at 800. The street is 800. Like 800 North or something. I can't see what it says. 800 Northwest or something. And I thought it said Boo on it. I was like, oh my God, it's Boo Street. That's so hilarious. And all of the corn is gone out here. Whenever I tell Alex that, like, I'll be like, oh yeah, I vlog out here. And he'll be like, you vlog out here? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, you come out all the way out here and vlog. And I'm like, yeah, where do you think I vlog? Around our neighborhood? Like 200 times or something? I just got the biggest craving for a Dr. Pepper. I don't even know why. Doesn't that sound so good though right now, a Dr. Pepper? You're probably like, no. Why would you just randomly think of that? Because I do. It sounds delicious to me. I want to get a bunch of Christmas candles and Christmas stuff. I don't know when I want to put up the Christmas decorations this year. Well, really, it's just my little tree. But I might buy some other things this year and put it up too. But I don't want the house to be too cluttered. Although the other day I said to Alex, did he bring it up or did I bring it up? Because we were talking about getting new sheets. I love that comforter. I love so much. We might need to get like another one in a different color or something, so that when we clean them, we can just put the new one on. But he said, oh, I was thinking about getting some new sheets, and I said, do you want to get another pair of sheets? Because I really liked that brand of jersey sheets I got. And that's what I meant. And he was like, yeah, do you want to get flannel? And I go, flannel? And he was like, I haven't had flannel sheets in forever, but I like flannel looking sheets that are jersey, you know? And he was like, yeah, you know, and because I had said to him, I said to him like a month or two ago, like, could we get some flannel sheets? So I like how they look, and I think they're cute and masculine and stuff. And he was like, yeah, he was like, we can get some flannel sheets. And then the other day he like mentioned it. He was like, are we going to get the flannel sheets? And I was like, well, we can. I can't believe that, like, I don't know what just made me think of this, that like every day of my dad's life, like he's been up for like 2 hours already. Like, I know if I went to my dad's house right now, like he would have like read the newspaper, had like his first 2 cups of coffee for the day, and be like completely showered and dressed for the day, even on a Saturday. My dad was never like the type that, like, when he went into work, my dad is a super sharp dresser. And when I was a kid, he like went to Chicago and he got his suits from this store called Mark Shale in Chicago. And my dad always wore the coolest suits. Like, in the winter, I just remember he had the most beautiful suits, and they were like, you know, all these tweeds, and, you know, and then he would have just really pretty ties, and he always just looked like a college professor, you know, at Yale or something like that. And he wears little round rim glasses and stuff. And so anyway, my dad loves clothes, and he's just, but like those kind of clothes, you know, he's just a sharp dresser. But you know how like some people, like I can remember like when I was talking to Caroline, my cousin Caroline, about her dad, my Uncle Dave, and she would say, you know, Dad every day, no matter what, gets up and he puts on like khakis and like a button-down collared shirt, you know? Well, that is not my dad. That is not my dad. My dad is very much, like he gets up every day and takes a shower. He like gets up, reads the paper. My dad reads like every day, like the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, every single day. And drinks his coffee, and then probably reads some other book. My dad's always reading some obscure book about something that you would never, he goes to the bookstore and he buys like, he only reads nonfiction, and he buys like, you know, 5 or 10 books on topics that you have never heard of before about things. He just reads everything random. So when we go and see him, he's always telling us about, you know, something completely random about like, this religious organization, you know, in this island that nobody's ever heard of. Not religious organization, but religious group or whatever, you know, or it'll be about a certain way to like, you know, make tea, or some animal that's extinct or something. He's always reading about all these like just really random things. But anyway, but like on the weekends, my dad would get up, you know, and he would, showered and ready, but he would always just like in the summer, you know, put on like shorts and a t-shirt. My dad always, so this idea of me collecting t-shirts wherever I go, my dad did it. And it wasn't so much like a thing that he collected. I wouldn't say that he collected them. He just always bought t-shirts wherever he went. So like, you know, my entire childhood was filled with my dad. My dad has worn Patagonia since I can remember. And he always would wear these like grayish or khaki Patagonia shorts that were kind of like mid-thigh. But they were like sailor shorts. Because, you know, my dad always was on a boat. And because he had his own sailboat, and then he just was always on sailboats. He did like a lot of like medical missionary work on sailboats and stuff like that. So then he would have a t-shirt on top of it that would say like Honduras or, you know, St. Thomas or something, you know. He had all these t-shirts, mostly from like the Caribbean, that he would wear. And that he would get grabbed in the airport or whatever, or some bar that, you know, like restaurant, like in these places. My dad was like such a cool guy. He, and you know, he was single for a long time too, and he really enjoyed, I think, being single. And I mean, he enjoys being with my stepmom, but I think the time that he was single, he enjoyed it because he, every winter, it would scare my mom to death. This was after they were separated, but he would go to Banff, Alberta, Canada. I think that's correct. And he would hike in the Canadian Rockies by himself. I have several t-shirts from when I was a kid that said Banff on them, and he did too. But he would hike there when he was a kid, or when I was a kid, by himself. He would go up there for like 2 or 3 weeks. He actually dated this girl for a while that he met up there, and she was from Australia. She was from New Zealand, and she was like one of the editors on the movie The Man from Snowy River. But anyway, she was like a world traveler. That was before like people just had like a backpack and traveled, I remember. He was so excited. She came to like visit. She stayed for an extended period of time, and we like watched that movie, which I don't think I ever really understood. But anyway, and at the very end, her name was in the credits. But my dad, that was when he did a lot of traveling like that. That's when he did like a lot of the medical work, like in Honduras and places like that. My mom would be like, I can't believe that he's taking all these risks. That was when he went to the US Open. So, okay. My dad, so I come from a big tennis family. Like, my family loves tennis. So my dad went to the US Open one year, but he wanted to get like courtside. So he made up these, he bought a huge, my dad loves cameras, he always has. And so he had just bought this brand new Nikon camera, I think it was. And he had this like huge, what do you call it? Like neck thing. It was like this big, you know? And it was like one of these, it was like, this is in the 70s. This was like 78, right? And it was like, it looked like a camera strap, but that was like woven, like hippie woven, you know what I mean? It was very artsy and colorful. And he like grew a beard out so that he looked like just some like random photographer that was like, you know, and then he had these like jean cutoff shorts on, and like he has pictures of himself at his house, like, okay, and like these huge tube socks pulled up, and then he had on like just some t-shirt that said like St. Thomas or something on it, and he went with this huge camera, and he literally, I mean, this is back in the day, like today you couldn't do it probably, you know, but he made this like some, I can't, like Sports Illustrated or something like that. He made a press pass and laminated it. He laminated it and everything, and he went there and got courtside, and literally got pictures of these guys courtside, and at the US Open in New York City, and has pictures of him like, you know, down on one like, you know, knee like this, like taking pictures and stuff that people took of him. That's so funny that my dad did that. My dad is somebody that is like totally unafraid. Like he is unafraid, and really, and we talk a lot about this word unbothered. Like he is really unbothered. Like it's funny how it has changed for him though over time. Like when I was younger, you know, like he would get really incensed is not really the word, but like, you know, if you told him something, he would get kind of heated about it. Not really heated, but like, okay, this isn't okay, and blah, blah, blah. He just isn't like that today. Like, if you tell him something, you know, he's just like, he just kind of laughs, you know, he's like, okay, you know, like, he just doesn't give things any time or energy that he doesn't care about. If that makes sense. Like, he loves his dog, he loves my stepmom, he loves me, he loves Alex, he loves the house, he loves being on the water, he loves his work. Other than that, he loves to read, he loves to travel. Other than that, he doesn't pay it a whole lot of attention. He just doesn't, you know? My jaw is hurting, I don't know why. Boo Radley is always the last dog to wake up, usually. Well, Pee-Pee has been the last couple days, but Boo Radley usually is. And Tucker's always the first one to wake up. But tonight, Boo Radley, I had to wake him up to take him outside. And Boo Radley was crying while he was dreaming. He was like, you know, running in his sleep. And he was like, Well, it was so cute. What do you think dogs dream of? Do you think they just dream of like running outside or chasing birds or eating snacks? Or when you think about the fact that like our dogs or cats or pets or whatever, they know us, and they kind of recognize probably some people on the street or friends that, or family that we have that come by, and that's the limitation of their world, you know? Although, like, as much as dogs seem to understand, I really think they understand a lot more than we give them credit for. I also think that dogs watch TV. I don't think they understand it, but I think they actually can see images. Like, I was reading something and it said a long time ago, and it said that dogs can't see like the images that are on a TV. And then I read something recently. Is that a new strip mall? What is that? What is that? Oh, I've got to go see what this is. This is a Tide Cleaners drive-through? What is that? I want to go there. I might have to try that for my review channel. But, then I read something recently and it said that dogs do know what is, this is like a brand new thing. It's kind of back here, kind of hard to get to though. That they do know, like when they're watching TV, what they're seeing. Which is funny because like our dogs watch TV. Boo Radley has no clue what's on that TV. But Pee-Pee kind of watches it and he kind of goes like this and watches it, you know? Tide Cleaners. I don't get it. Drive-through entrance. Do you think it's like you drop your clothes off? It's gotta be. I'm gonna look it up because I wanna know. I wanna know if she really loves me. Oh my God, they're everywhere. Dry cleaning and laundry. Wash and fold. Tide Cleaners planning to open 5 indie area franchises. Why can't I get to the article? I don't want to leave a comment. It says you must be logged in to leave a comment. I don't care to be I don't care. I just want to read the article. What's the problem? Tide Cleaners provides personalized washing, folding, dry, cleaning, and alterations. The future of laundry care, brought to you by America's #1 trusted brand. What are people going back to all of that? Like, oh, there's a little dog park in there. How cute is that by that apartment complex? But I will tell you what's funny is, it seems like it was so long ago that we didn't have a washer and dryer. Do you remember that period of time that we didn't have a washer and dryer? And we had to go to the laundromat, which I quite frankly loved going to the laundromat. Nowadays, it seems like, well, I don't right now, because our washer and dryer is so fast that, like, I put a load of wash in and then I get it done and then that's it. But it seems like I do a load of wash like every single day. I do something. Whether it's towels and linens. I need to do towels. We have so many towels though. We don't have so many towels to clean. We have so many towels, period. So like we clean them and then we put them, you know, away. And then we have more towels that we bring out. Because we always buy towels. It seems like whenever there's like a sale, like on nice towels, like, well, Alex is good about that, about buying towels. I usually buy like the bedding and he buys towels. So yeah. But I used to like always, like once we got the washer and dryer, I would always have something in the washer or the dryer and, you know, be like running it. I don't so much. I wonder if that place is open, that Rise place. It's interesting to me that a lot of these like brunch places are not open at 5 till 7 on Saturday morning. I'm really kind of surprised by that. I think Patachou's open by now. It's at the end and I didn't know it. I said this was going to be short, and look, it ended up being long. I'm awake now. I don't think that I'm going to be able to go back to bed, which is fine, because then I can just make my videos for the day that I want to make and stuff. But, part of the problem is I don't know what I'm going to make my videos about just yet. Well, I could drive around and listen to my audiobook. God knows I need to do that, so. What is with all this crazy construction? Anyway, I think I'm gonna get off here now and just make this a little bit shorter, and I'll try to vlog longer tomorrow, you guys. Oh my God, this huge detour. What does it say? I'm gonna go this way, because I don't know how to go that way around. But anyway, I'm gonna get off here now, and listen to, I guess, my audiobook. I wanna get a Dr. Pepper. And I've gotta go, oh, I've gotta buy Carlitos' birthday present. I still have to go do that. So anyway, I'm gonna go to the Meijer and do that. I hope you guys are having an amazing Saturday, unless you have other plans. But like I always say, do not have other plans. Enjoy your day, make the most of it. Do something today. Are you kidding me? This road is closed too. I feel like I'm stuck in a Twilight Zone. Anyway, do something today, road closed to through traffic. Do something today that that you're gonna look back on and be proud of, or happy that you did. You're exchanging a day of your life for it. Life is not a dress rehearsal. And make sure that you look in yourself in the mirror. Back up. If nobody else has told you this today, I love you. Make sure that you look at yourself in the mirror every single day and you say to yourself, I love you, you are valuable, you are important. Important. And you allow yourself to know your own self-value and your own self-worth. You gotta start telling ourselves that on a daily basis. And most importantly, make sure that you pass it on to somebody else and let them know that they are important to you. Live your life with compassion, love, and kindness. And I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya!